Good evening and welcome to the Town of Belgrade Planning Board meeting of June 20th, 2024. It is 6:01. And, we'll start with a call to order and a roll call. Tonight in the meeting, we have, Mr. Nick Sakaro, and we have Mrs. Penny Morale, and we have Mr. George Seal, myself, Sarah Langet, and the CEO, Hans Rasmussen. And in the audience, I will invite our attendees to introduce themselves.
Mike Hammond, Hammond Lumber Company.
Don Becker, Haley Ward.
Don Hammond, Hammond Lumber Company.
All right, so for new business, we have the application from Hammond Lumber with Mike Hammond. Location is 2 Hammond Drive. This is in map 4, lot 52. And the purpose is a commercial development, a CDRO, that is gonna be reviewed under that ordinance. It's a commercial ordinance review, and the name of the project is Hammond Lumber Shavings Storage Building. And with that, before going through the application, I will open the floor for comments, and maybe the applicant would like to do a brief summary of the project.
Sure.
All right.
Okay. Recently, this is our manufacturing modernization project. Recently, we were permitted for our new planer building right here, which is in progress. The shell is up. We're outfitting the interior now. Dry kiln building is permitted, a second structure. We have the foundation and slab will be in soon, so that's coming along nicely over here. Well,
So I wanna, take your time off. Can we put this down? So, we need it in a camera, it's a camera thing. So I will need to put it down over here for you. Yep. Yeah, and if you can move a little bit back, Mrs. Morale, it's just the owl is looking that way, so we have the camera. And we'll move that way, just far this way. Yes.
We don't want to piss off the owls.
That's perfect there, thank you.
So what we're proposing today is a 40 by 80 structure that is for shaving storage. It's part of the planer manufacturing process. It comes out the blower. It comes out the planer to a blower up the cyclone. The fines get circulated. The clean air goes out the cyclone, airlock, and into this shaving storage building. In addition, we have our truck loading pit right here, which is not really a structure, but it's a stormwater control process. Part of that structure right there. So it's kind of a summary of what we're applying for today, is this 40 by 80 structure.
So this is like an addendum to the original project that you came on.
Not necessarily officially an addendum per se, it's
Okay.
a separate building, but it's part of it's a required necessity of the planer manufacturing byproducts.
Gotcha.
In dust control.
Gotcha.
Mike, is this the,
Yeah, it stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're down the
Wow.
backside of it,
Okay.
the stream is over here.
Mike, but will there be more to your modernization effort beyond this that you know of at the moment, or?
This is about it for now. We have in the future another lumber storage building here, but that won't be any manufacturing, just whatever we output from the planer mill. We'll go to a dry storage building, which we haven't determined yet, so we're kind of doing it in incremental phases and kind of one step at a time. So this is kind of step 3, step 4, for this dry storage building, which will come back and see you maybe in a month or 2, I would surmise.
All right. So do we have any other questions from the board?
Not for me.
Okay. So with that, we're gonna proceed with the, application submissions checklist. So we can deem the application complete. That will be the process today. And, we'll, do all the checks that we have to do here, for this, form, all right? So, I will read this as, this is a, you bear with us, because it's more of a reading for the reporting than anything else. So that is, the form goes as follows: Bellevue Commercial Development Review Ordinance Application Submission Checklist. This is to be completed by the planning board chair during review of all applications with exception of a special permit for 5 years renewals for existing mining operations, what we don't have usually in town. Checklist may serve as useful guidance to applicants to ensure application includes all needed maps and attachments to be found complete. Applicant name is Hammond Lumber Company. Development name is Hammond Lumber Shaving Storage Building. Fee paid. Hans, if you can help me with this portion of it, it will be $100 because it's buildings and land.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and that's done.
Yep.
All right, check there. Notice provided by CEO to landowners, 500 feet, that's gonna happen after this. So they'll,
Yeah, I got in trouble once because I did it on the application.
yeah. So, those two checks will be after, and we start, with the, application submission. First one is application form, and that is complete. Applicant's agent authorization letter,
Represent.
okay?
So,
All right, so that's why number 5 is not, it's empty there. All right, on page 5, all right. Copy of deed, option, sales agreement, lease, or other documents of title, right, or interest. It's complete. Written waiver request,
none's being requested.
so not applicable. Copy of tax map of property, complete. Copy of Kennebec Company soil map of property,
Yeah, that-
complete. Copy of USGS topographic map showing, property location, complete. Copy of Belgrade shoreline zoning map showing property location, complete. Copy of flood insurance map showing property. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
complete now. Copy of national wetlands inventory map showing property. That's complete too.
Yes,
Copy of main geological survey significant sand and gravel aquifer map showing property location.
I don't believe that's applicable, since there's no hazardous materials or drinking water issues here.
All right, one page down, 4 more to go. Copy of main drinking water program map of public drinking water supplies showing proper location.
That's not applicable.
NA. Copy of MDOT highway entrance or access permit.
That's not applicable.
No, but it's still here. It's in there. Copy of MDOT traffic movement permit and traffic movement study.
It's also not applicable.
Copies of other state and local permits.
We have that, it's complete.
one 20 by 36 site development plan drawing.
Got that. So, in the back of the application.
Detailed to scale drawing showing location and construction specification of drainage features, roads, sidewalks, access points, driveway parking, traffic control features, fire control structures, and public improvements. It's complete. Documentation meets applicable state, federal air quality regulatory requirements.
Do you require any kind of exemption or permit from the Air Bureau?
We don't need an air emissions license at this time.
Is that, could you just explain that a little bit? Because I'm not that familiar with when for a facility of this type. We're just,
Based on, it's not my field, but we have a department that does that, but we don't have, we're not triggering that regulation. I don't really know why. But a lot of times it's because you have a big boiler that has X amount of BTUs or something, but we're not that type of a device here.
okay, so that would be not applicable. I thought that was the case, but I wasn't. I didn't know why.
And I'm saying why, I'm not sure how to prove that, but I know we show stuff like that to Kyle Sullivan and he tells me when I need something, so.
So it's a curiosity, is we're talking about a blower sending particles to asylum. So it kind of would have thought that,
That's an enclosed system, so we're gonna, and actually it's an improvement on what he currently has, so. Significantly, so there's no longer any real admission.
so because it's an enclosed system, is no emissions. Gotcha.
And I'm not sure where fugitive dust emissions are regulated for the state. I don't actually, that wouldn't be an air emissions license, but it would be a standard you have to meet. Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Soil erosion control plan.
We have that for drawings.
NDP certified contractor name and number.
I didn't see that.
The Sheridan Construction.
Yeah, I think there are numbers in there. But both EL Lighting and Sheridan are licensed.
Is it in the application?
I should think so. I can look for it while you move forward.
Okay, yeah.
That'd be nice, you can do that, we'll leave that. We know the name, we just need the number now. Location of site structure listed on National Register of Historic Places, NA. Location of ME, Historical Preservation Commission and Carrigo sites, NA.
Yep.
All this, the ones that are coming down very close to it, huh? Information needed to meet air quality standard. That's NA too. Information needed to meet access to public street standard, NA. Protection measures for historic and archaeological resources, NA.
Yes.
Estimated quantity of flammable, combustible, and hazardous substances to be stored, handled, or generated, including waste oil and antifreeze.
There's
NA.
none, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so NA.
Mhm. Evidence meet NDEP citing regulations for oil storage and hazardous substances in the facility.
That's NA.
That's in it. Copy of application provided by the fire chief, by the planning board or CEO.
That's something Hans needs to do between this meeting and the next.
Written letter from the fire chief.
Right, yeah. Did Mike, Dan actually see the application, or I know you sent a letter to him expressing, generally, describing what you were planning to do, but
He has the drawings and other information.
I would say that that's probably close enough at this point. Do you agree, Hans? For this, this is a fairly straightforward application, so at least that would be my feeling.
So we have a letter you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the applicant did it. We didn't, but it was done.
They
Okay.
contacted him.
We have a copy of that letter.
Are you stating that in the application that he was contacted by the applicant? So that's done. All information needed to meet material storage standard, including bulk storage of combustible and flammable materials and hazardous substances. Not applicable.
Actually, that is addressed in the application. In terms of visibility, at least.
So that's complete then?
Yes.
Okay. Visual impact assessment,
In a,
plan based on IF and W critical areas program recommendations to mitigate impact on natural areas and wildlife habitat, including deer wintering.
in a,
Other information needed to meet natural resource protection standard,
so not out.
NA. Is the board requiring posted development noise monitoring or reporting plan? If required, mark not applicable. If not required, mark not applicable. If required, mark complete upon receipt. So,
It's not applicable. There's documentation to show that the noise standards will be met.
information needed to meet noise standard is complete. Exterior lighting plan and specifications for light fixtures. Complete. Is board requiring post-development light monitoring and reporting plan?
I think it's required.
And then, information to meet parking standard.
That's NA.
Okay.
Well, it's NA or complete.
Well, it's no additional parking.
Yeah, there's
required.
no.
You can say it's important,
Yeah.
same delivery.
They use, but they have just having kind of a corridor to have, trucks coming in, I guess, to
Yeah, there's
load up. That's
essentially
all.
no increase in traffic, right?
Yes.
Do I understand that correctly?
Written standard from fire chief on capacity of fire department to provide adequate protection. That's complete. Yes. That's part of the letter? Yeah, the letter. Yeah, you can do.
But I guess it's part of his comprehensive no concerns regarding the conveyance system. Again, there's no additional employees.
Written statement from the sheriff's department approving any proposed security measures. NA,
Yes.
other information to meet public safety and emergency services standard. NA.
Right.
Information to meet screening of structures, parking lots, and other non-residential uses standard.
Addressed
NA,
in the application.
huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's addressed in the application.
Okay, complete. To scale profile view of proposed signs. NA,
I believe so.
Other information to meet science standards, NA.
Yes.
Storm water management plan,
Completed.
complete. All the information to meet stormwater management standard,
Also been provided.
complete. Surface waste disposal site evaluation form,
NA.
and then they can, so you have this clear. This is referred to, human disposal, human waste disposal, isn't it?
Correct.
All the information to meet waste standards, and then
Yes.
groundwater quality and quantity impact assessment.
That's NA.
Right. Copy of the restrictions related to drinking water or groundwater protection, NA. Copy of main drinking water program, public water supply approval for source of water protection, NA.
Yes.
Copy of MDP stormwater management permit,
That's complete.
that's complete. Phosphorus export control method,
That's also complete.
other information to meet water quality standard,
That's also complete.
supplemental site plan requirement for mineral extraction operations
Actually, everything else on the checklist
is
is
in A.
NA.
So I'm just gonna read it, just sort of pull it. 5-year mining reclamation plan, NA, mineral extraction processing operation procedure and hours, NA, hydrogeological study and groundwater movement quality, NA, written extraction processing buffer agreement with a butter, NA, reclamation plan for extraction and processing operations, NA, design operation details of stationary petroleum storage and equipment fueling, NA, other information to meet mineral extraction and processing operations standards, NA, information to meet overnight accommodation standards, NA, visual impact assessment of telecommunication tower if located on lake shore or hilltop, NA, main registered professional engineer certification of telecommunication tower design, NA. Other information to meet telecommunication tower standards, NA. Visual impact assessment of wind turbine taller than 100 feet, NA. Impact study of wind turbine on wildlife, NA. Identification of roads to be used for turbine transportation, NA. So all those are not applicable. And nothing to do with the project. All right. Hiring of engineer by town at applicant's expense to document road conditions prior to use and damage after use. That's NA.
Yes, that applies to the transport of solar turbines.
Okay. Emergency response plan during equipment transport, NA2, same thing. And
Yes.
turbine general liability certificate of insurance is NA. So, we just need that number of Syrian construction.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's public record. We should be able to find it, but we can also call them.
You talking about the D, you know?
The erosion control certification numbers.
Yeah, I can get it.
You can get that, okay.
I've got a quick link up.
It's the same site contractor as our planer and kiln, so we should have
Right.
it right in your office.
So I will put that complete, and then I will place a note here, gonna say CEO to get number. Perfect. So, I think we are ready, to vote here, and deem this application, complete. So I will entertain a motion for such.
I'll make a motion, that the application is found as complete, and ready for further processing.
Need a second.
I'll second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve, the applications are submitted. So we're gonna vote now. Mr. Sakara,
Yes.
Mr. Seal,
Yes,
and Mr. Rangel said yes, so it's approved.
Penny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Penny, Mrs. Morale.
yes, sir.
Yes, so it's 4 in favor, none opposed, and the application is deemed completed. So, gotta bring my name in here. And my signature. And the date is 6/20/24. And then, so now, the abutters will be, advised of this application, being processed, and, next meeting, we will go through the final facts and conclusions of law.
between now and then, Hans, you'll be contacting all the, landowners within 500 feet.
All right, so, congratulations.
It'll be the second Thursday of the month, since July 4th is
Yep.
the 11th.
Good.
All right, thank you all, appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
This would all be so easy for.
You were
from our
very.
perspective.
Your applications are always so nice. Thank you so
Well, I
much.
try to follow, I didn't even notice though, this is the third time maybe, that the checklist is different from the order in the app form.
It is.
So my ability to follow through, what?
Yes, yeah,
I
not
I think
perfect.
we need to redo one of the checklists of the applications.
Yeah.
They do fall in order.
But it was a surprise, for some reason, I thought they were the same order, I'm like,
No,
who knew?
Just to keep you in check, that's all.
Thank you, thank you guys, yeah.
Have a good evening.
Yeah.
I can get going, I got one.
So this is yours?
Did you find that the illustrations were helpful?
Yes,
I really liked
very
it.
nice.
It really pictured.
Yeah, no,
Well, you can do those in AI anyways.
yeah, no, that's always really useful. I mean, even a facility like this, probably all of us have rummaged around in the back parts of the facility at one point in time or another, but still, it really is helpful.
What I was amazed is that the 3D drawing of the structure is in CAD also. You can measure in CAD in all 3 dimensions.
Oh, really?
That's
That's come a little ways.
16th of an inch. Wow. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Yeah.
So the next order of business is all business, and this have been in the agenda for almost 6 weeks. I was intending, before the voting, I was intending to review the LD 2003 with the board. But better than that, our the town newsletter, and I copied the article for you guys. Hans put together a very nice article that basically summarized all this in one page. And it was really wonderful. So I don't think we have to go over this.
So did the ordinance pass? I don't even know,
It did.
because there was nothing on the town website that I could find.
Well,
And
these,
of course, the newspaper doesn't recognize Belgrade as a town in the state of Maine.
so the both ordinances passed, because there were questions 2 and questions 3 of the voting, and both of them did pass. It didn't, when the town presented the results, it didn't put the verbiage that we were voting for. You say question 2 pass, question 3 pass, and those were the 2 new ordinances.
So I'm just curious, how did you all find out? Because I didn't want to bother Warner with an email or anything, but I couldn't find anything on the website. Usually there's a breakdown in the website.
Mary,
That's-
so.
Then it was in Facebook.
I don't do Facebook.
No, it was an email. She puts it out in email,
Oh, okay.
the result
I
of
didn't
the
see it.
election.
She probably sent it to me and I just didn't see it. It's
Yeah.
probably on me.
I did have one question, and that was on the, identifying places where we might do affordable housing projects like multi, whatever. We didn't have to do that in Belgrade's my understanding.
No, we have a comprehensive plan that will highlight growth areas. That's all it is. And,
Map right over there.
and that's that map over there. That's all we have to do. But it's not like that.
Those designated growth areas.
There's this.
There are some designated.
Yeah.
areas.
Affordable housing can be put any place a developer wants to propose it. So if somebody buys a tract of land and said, I'm gonna build affordable housing here, they can do it. Has to come here for approval. But there's no designated area where it can only go in this part of town.
Oh, I thought it had to be, according to this law, we had to identify, I think is the word.
Well, we don't have zoning, so,
Right.
and in this town, any lot can be a commercial lot. You know, if somebody buys a chunk of land on the Manchester Road right next to you and they wanna put up a storage facility, they come here for permission.
Yep.
Same thing if they wanna make the affordable housing
Yep,
project is they would come here for permission.
and we would grant it if they met the
If they met all the,
criteria.
in our ordinances, they, you know,
Yeah.
if they meet all the ordinance requirements, we have no choice.
Right.
So,
Right,
so
but
the-
if they did require us to designate growth areas, then that would in turn essentially force us into zoning.
No, we do have growth areas as designated by the comprehensive plan. It's not a
Just a
forced growth
recommendation.
area, it's just areas where we're encouraging growth.
Right, recommend.
And the irony is a lot of those areas are.
So there are some requirements in the state law that didn't apply to Belgrade because we do not have zoning, and those apply specifically to affordable housing.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'd have to look at the ordinance again. I can get it so easily confused in my head, on how it dealt with the, there was aspects of the way we crafted that, that had to do with affordable housing in growth areas, but whether we restricted it only or not, I couldn't say. With any certainty, but I assume we'll, at some point, we'll get copies of the ordinance.
And it'll be posted to the website.
Yeah.
I
And
inquired.
none of that supersedes shoreline zone.
Nope.
No, that's right. Right.
So, I guess I'm closing that, item, all the 2003. So the next item will be elections. And I hate to do this, kick it down the road, but I really would like to have, Mr. Alexander and Mr. Surgeon present to do that, if we could, that would be my,
So 2 meetings ago, when you were present and I chaired the meeting, we had a discussion and concluded that we did elections for, back in January. And there's no need to do them again.
I checked minutes, I didn't see.
I don't have a recollection of that either. We did it last year when Peter got elected.
Well, maybe we should go back and check the minutes.
Sure
I've
we did.
done that.
You've done that, and you
Not
couldn't find
recorded,
anything?
No,
Okay,
because I think we were gonna do it in the same situation,
Happened.
if somebody was absent. And
oh,
Sarah wanted a complete board.
okay, well,
Present.
okay, take your word. All right, yeah, no, I agree that everybody should be here.
You should be here, yeah. So, we're gonna postpone that for next meeting. And then, approval of minutes of last meeting. I was not here, Mr. Seal was not here,
I don't know.
and you were here, so, we have,
And he was the only one here.
yeah, so we're gonna have to
that's
kick
here
it down the road again,
today. You know, kick that can.
yeah. And then, so
Told
we.
you I was gonna be here 5 minutes later, I got a call, each day. And so,
And then, CEO, 2005 foundation setback, wetland setback.
Okay, so we've got a couple of handouts. One of them, the front page, says section 12 non-conformance. If you will just turn to the last page of that 3-page. I just printed out all of section 12, but in foundations. I would like to add the sentence that is in blue. And there's some photos I've included as visual support as to why I would like to add this to our ordinance. The one picture where the guy's standing there looking down, you see the lake behind him. And you see all the roots that are just exposed and broken and destroyed. So you know what's gonna happen to the trees on the waterfront.
We're gonna die.
Are these pictures, Hans, from a recent application that we approved?
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
because I recall one where this, if it had been in effect, would apply, but I couldn't think
Oh,
of
we've
it.
done 3 in the past year.
3 in the past year.
Applied it, or more, I mean,
So
There's three
this
houses
is
on
the
one.
one that, Golden Pond is doing, is it?
yes.
Cause I was trying, after we, exchanged emails about this, I was trying to, think of situations where this would, apply, and the most common that I could think of, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be, I mean, obviously, someone that is this close, has their camp this close to the lake, can't go towards the lake, because it would make it a more non-conforming structure, so it would have to be a lateral expansion that kept them, but they were still within the square footage allowed by the ordinance. Is that your,
Well, yeah, and we did some on Chestnut, Walnut,
Yeah.
Pine Beach,
all within,
Um,
all
Cardinal,
as close as 25 feet?
or closer. I mean, this one was actually 2 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only barrier between this foundation and the water was a rock. And foundation will encompass part of the rock, which I'm curious to see how high it's gonna affect that. So I just think if we're really trying to do our jobs here, this has gotta be, you know, that's where we start. Right
Sure.
now, the water's quality's continuing to go down. Nobody's making any changes. If we're gonna continue with the same behavior, we're gonna have the same results.
So, you know, one nice thing about this picture is it kind of shows that two of the potential negative impacts of excavation this close to the high water line and to the shoreline. I mean, one is what Hans already pointed out, and that is the disruption to any roots from natural vegetation that might be occurring, potentially killing them. And then the second, of course, is soil erosion. As you can see in this picture, there's zip for soil erosion. There's a little bit of soil what do they call it, erosion mix a little off to the left, but over to the right and between the on the right to the lake, there's nothing.
No, there's a berm of ECM all the way around this.
Is there?
Those
Okay, it's not
wooden
obvious
boxes,
to
the wooden
me.
forms, they're putting forms are on top of it.
Oh, okay,
It's there, it's a lot of it's faded by the sun.
but the I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of disturbed mineral soil. So,
Well, this site has had no runoff. I mean, I've been on it. They're good. They're diligent about keeping the erosion control.
mhm.
We were, doing like a week or so ago, and we saw it, and I took pictures of it. And, so it was very close to the water.
Mhm.
Very, very close to the water, no doubt. I don't know how good the control was, but from the water, it just seemed so close to the water for me.
We
permitted this?
Yep. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Really, that,
They met all the criteria in our ordinance, and it is allowed. Right now, it's allowed, but we say that it's not, it will be allowed. We're actually doing some in worse situation, this land is at least somewhat level.
Mhm.
We're doing some on an incline we've allowed, where it's gonna run into the lake.
but this, it doesn't meet the setback requirement.
It's small enough to be built within 25.
I'm sorry,
It's, the camp is small enough to be built within 25 feet of the well.
Well, it's, you can't move this one back, we reviewed it,
oh,
we
okay,
determined it's not possible to move it back.
and it was grandfathered.
Yeah, and of course, every neighbor in the neighborhood is saying, how can this happen? You guys aren't doing your job, you this, you that,
Uh-uh, oh, boy,
and, you know. Bottom line is. By allowing this, if you look at the picture where you're looking in the ditch again, you'll see. Foundation drains coming around. Well, the foundation drains used to be a lot shallower. Now, they've dug their footings down, the foundation drain is much lower. To discharge the foundation drain, they are gonna have to dig a ditch to the lake.
For the foundation drain to
Yeah.
outlet.
And it's much deeper, so allowing these foundations, we're actually creating bigger problems. Aside from. You know, this disruption of the soils and the potential for runoff. And by getting back at least 25 feet, these guys have room to work.
So this line in blue here will be a change to the ordinance.
Just one sentence.
I still am confused, and I know it's my ignorance, not you guys, but. There's no structure there, why are we allowing something?
Well, they tore the house down to get to this point.
Okay, thank you,
So
and it was there,
it was there, they used building in place.
okay,
So the key, for us, given the way the ordinance is currently written, and Hans alluded to this, was, could the replacement structure be moved back to the greatest practical extent away from the lake?
yeah,
And
remember
I honestly don't remember the details of this application, but they all kind of blend together to me. We decided that it could not be moved back, and so hence it's as close as it is for this replacement facility.
And another site, very close to this site.
I'm
I
sorry,
encourage you to take a visit to another site right close to this, is the 90 Pine Beach, where we allowed same thing to happen. And what happens is, when this is all done, the foundation's poured, they take the forms away. Well, now they gotta backfill. So you went from a natural setting to,
Mhm.
now it was perfectly landscaped.
Yeah. Which might actually increase stormwater runoff to the lake.
You'll look at. I'm not gonna say the name on record, but there was another permit we did about 2 weeks prior to this one. So. Where he's got the landscape down, I just. It disrupts way too much too close to the lake. I mean, we're not allowing people to cut down trees that are leaning over their houses and. But they can tear a house down and totally change the grade.
so he must not have had a foundation when the building.
No, he did, but they destroyed it, they pulled it up. See, that's the thing is. We allow where there's an existing foundation that they use the existing foundation. Footprint. It's just a footprint, they're gonna destroy it, put in their own new rebar and something that'll support the house. There's no rule that says they have to use that existing foundation.
But we must have said that you can't build it any closer than it was,
Well, that's the given rule, if the ordinance is written,
yeah,
you use what's existing, the existing footprint.
So the net, if the requirement that you've suggested was in place at the time we reviewed this application, we would have denied the application.
Well,
Or
that's the
anything, use
thing,
the old foundation.
that's for discussion, because I wrote creation of a new foundation within 25 feet. So if somebody has one that's there and it needs maintenance, are we gonna tell them they can't do maintenance? I don't think we can.
No, No, I mean, that's not new.
So in this situation, probably yes, we would have said they can do the project. But where a house is on stilts and we allow them to put a foundation under it, and it's only 10 feet from the shoreline, there we would say it's not permissible.
Right, but they could build a house on
On
stilts.
stilts, yeah, they could rebuild it on the stilts,
Yeah.
and 25 feet.
Even
they'd
a
have-
new house,
Well,
you could build,
if they meet all the other criteria.
right,
I mean, yeah, I mean, building that close to the lake, something entirely new
right,
wouldn't happen.
right,
Unless it's entirely, yeah, you're right, so. If they had a house and they wanted to put a foundation under it and it was that close and they couldn't move it back.
Yeah.
It would be one of those situations where, all right, well, the front of your house is gonna be on stilts. 25 feet back. Could possibly be on a foundation. But, I mean, this is a talking point we're starting.
Sure,
discussion.
No, it's great that you raised it.
but we're gonna be reviewing ordinances in the fall.
Well, I don't wanna kick this can down the road. I think there's gonna be other little situations like this where we have time now to discuss it. Approve it, send it to the select board, have them approve it, have a hearing.
Yeah.
And then it's in the package, ready for the town vote.
Okay,
We can do this 3 or 4 times during the year.
yeah, but
We don't have
so
to-
they down vote on it, we cannot enforce it though.
I know,
Okay,
but we can do the hearing and get all the legwork out of the way.
all right,
Instead of having multiple items to discuss.
sure.
And
So now-
a lot of discussion, a lot of hoorah, and everybody's here, maybe 5 items to discuss,
So this,
and they're mad about one and. You know, and I think it's easier to break it down.
I think, I'm on the fence about that. I do think we have one other, area that we've discussed already about reviewing and with, the intent of possibly making a change to the ordinance, sort of in the queue. And that has to do with amending the provision or the requirement for a main DEP certified contractor when you're talking about work either being done by hand, by the landowner or something like a rain garden, something you may recall, we had that discussion, a couple meetings back. And, you know, I understand your point, Hans, but I think first off, this is something that needs to be discussed when the full board's here. Second, at a minimum, we should put these two things together as a, you know, I don't like the idea of going to the voters. You know, every friggin' year it makes us look like we don't know what the hell we're doing. And, with yet another amendment,
I don't look at it that way, George, I look at it as we're improving.
Well, we may be,
Process,
but-
constantly improving.
there's an argument to be made for that, I agree, Hans. But I think, you know, as we gain it, as we come across these situations, I would, you know, for that, at least for that 1 year, we should, you know, put them into one
Consolidate.
package.
The other
Rather than
thing is,
breaking them
it
apart.
looks like we're taking more of their rights away every time we put another ordinance together. It's being a little more stringent on what people can do.
Well, I disagree, and George, I disagree, because I still want one package, one vote. I just wanna do the public hearings and all the legwork. As we come up with these things, we discuss them, and that way it doesn't look like we're in a last minute crunch to rush something through when we're forcing a bunch of things down people's
Well,
throats.
I certainly agree with your observation about the process, because it, you know, like these last ordinances definitely felt like we were racing to the clock and.
So we're raising the clock because the state
yeah, right.
mandate.
Well, yeah, but it's not a comfortable situation.
Yeah, yeah. So, I guess what I will gotta say about this is that we're scheduled to do some changes in the ordinance coming the fall. So in my mind, if we, you know, queue all this and, you know, stack it up, that way, then we only have to do one fully hearing, where all of it will be said, rather than making multiples of them.
Sarah, what other ordinance, changes were you
So,
referring to?
I think we still have to look at the multiple, family lot, dwelling. Then we agree crunching that up before it was we needed more information and more understanding on the, certain peculiarities of that ordinance. We had the board in disagreement at that point, and then Granny said, you guys don't have to agree on that now. To pass a state law, we don't need to talk about that.
Right,
So we actually even got money to have her come back in the fall and review, that particular ordinance. And then also their language in the multiple, in the, minimal lot size, specifically around the word lot, that seems to we'll need some more, clarification for the ordinance. So we're gonna be working at least in those two items in the fall, and there was something else that we needed to work on.
Where the minimum lot size basically punts to the multi-family dwelling ordinance. When 3 or more structures are on one lot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
yet the minimum lot size says you can put 4 structures on one lot. I mean, the ADU, whatever,
yeah,
says you can put 4 on one lot if you have the dimensional requirements.
yeah,
So there's a conflict.
Oh,
and the wording, it's just that the wording creates.
no, I forgot about that, to be honest with you, I think the shoreline zoning stuff is a higher priority, but,
Yeah, and that also, we have to work
But,
on that too as well.
do we know, the schedule for, the Lakes and Natural Resource Committee? They complete
I have to get
with
on that.
recommendations?
I have
that's
to-
2 years.
They
So
go
they're
slow.
not making much
Not
progress.
this year,
No.
definitely not this year.
have you been to their meetings, George?
I've been to one, and, I really didn't need to be there, as it turned out, was my sense. There was a good presentation that, done by somebody from the Seven Lakes Alliance about shoreline zoning of sort of a summary of what all the towns in the watershed have. That the woman that presented it, I don't recall her name, a young woman, from Seven Lakes Alliance, did a very nice job. But, they didn't have any questions for me, or anything of that nature. And so the way I left it with them was, if you want me to attend one of your meetings when I'm specifically on the agenda, put me specifically on the agenda so that, I'm not there just kind of cooling my heels. And I haven't heard anything back, since then, but, I assume at some point they may do that, but, I didn't want to, we had talked here about, we didn't want to give them the impression or anybody else the impression that I was sort of a de facto member of that committee. And by being there when I didn't need to be there, I was afraid that's exactly what that did. And so, that's why I took that step, but, so I've only been to that one meeting, so other than, I know they sought a legal opinion about something else they were pursuing, from the town, attorney. They were batting around the idea apparently, and I only know this because they wrote me an email about it, of requiring all landowners around the lakes to, if they don't already have, a 25-foot buffer strip between, along the lake shore, to have to plant one, and they were advised that you can't do that. The only, not through shoreline zoning anyway, and the only time you could have that kind of requirement and have it be legal is it, first off, of course, amending the ordinance, but that it would have to be at the time that somebody applied to this board or to Hans for a permit. At which point, that could be one of the conditions of obtaining the permit. But that's why I just asked if they had made any progress on that or anything else, cause you know, if they had some recommendations that were eminent.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to see what those are before we go into a full-blown discussion about how we're gonna amend the shoreline zoning ordinance, but if they're not anywhere close, then, you know,
No sense.
they'll get it done when they get it done, and we can take it up then.
So
at
are
the
you
board.
talking about like everybody that has shoreline property is able to clear a place from the house to the water?
No,
Are you
yeah.
talking about having a buffer where they have to have vegetation? going
Yeah,
on?
I think their concern was more about older properties that, you know, years, decades and decades ago, cleared everything right down to the water.
Yeah,
Maybe even has a lawn, just a lawn down to the water,
Right.
to require them to plant a 25-foot buffer to capture the storm water and the nutrients before it goes into the lake. I understand, you know, the rationale, it's just legally, you can't just do that across the board.
yeah. Yeah, because like in my place, I. From my porch to the water is lawn. Because you could clear that, you
Mhm.
can't beyond it, like I've got brush and trees.
Yeah, and so what the attorney said. Essentially was, the town can't require you to legally require you in an ordinance to across the board, you know. You, Penny, have to plant 25 feet of shrubbery
Yeah,
there. But if you can't, but what the town could do, if it so chose and the voters approved it in an ordinance amendment. Could require that, say you wanted to get a shoreline zoning permit for an addition or whatever expansion of your home.
yeah,
That at a condition of getting that, to get that permit, you would have to plant that 25-foot buffer. That would be legal. But to do it across the board, just willy-nilly is not.
So.
So the
this-
whole waterfront 25 feet up from the water,
Yeah. Yeah,
your whole property.
well,
Maybe
I mean,
half.
yeah, you need to provide for, you know, people's passage
Right.
and those kind of practical aspects. I assume that they would recognize that. I mean, I only know the bare bones of this. I
I've
know.
been to every meeting, and those are the kind of ideas they're coming up with. Stuff that will never fly. So, now they're off on a tangent about septic system rules. Well, that's a separate ordinance. Their charge is to look at shoreline zone ordinance. And from what I can tell, not one person in that room has read the shoreline zone ordinance in detail yet. So they don't understand what it says. They're just talking. So it's gonna be at least a year or two.
They need to get an agenda, straight agenda.
Well, let them do what they're doing, because we can do what we're doing
Hmm.
and come up with real needs, real improvements that will have an effect, okay?
This is a great point. I really see the value in it. And, I think it's something that we should be looking into and, keep our stake into it so we can make the transition of changing the ordinance. But we need to share this with the rest of the group. And,
Well, Rome's on board with doing, I've talked to Rome, and they're gonna talk about it as well. Smithfield's already adopted it.
and is even better, because then, because we're all part of the watershed. If we all following the same rules, it'd be great.
So
Yeah.
Smithfield opened their last select meeting, to a public hearing to discuss it. And everybody was in favor, done, so it's on the docket for vote.
Okay.
Small town, small ward,
Can we
things
place
get done.
this back on the next meeting? So we can have, Mr. Baker and, Mr. Alexander look into it too.
Well,
And,
why don't we do this, though? Why don't we talk about both the suggested, could we need to flesh both of these out? And we need to make sure we understand all the ramifications, both positive and negative.
So the other one
As
that
well as
one-
get input from the members that aren't here, but, You know, so I would, if you wanted, you know, if we don't have a lot of permits on the next application, next meeting, then that's fine. I mean, we have Hammond Lumber on the next meeting, but, the, I take it, Hans, you'd like to see this ideally, make it to, go before the voters at March town meeting.
And I
Right.
want important things like this to be done before we get this onslaught of BS.
So you want it in November is what you want it, isn't it?
What's that?
You want it to be in November,
November?
November.
Yeah, next town meeting. I'm not kicking the can down the road. I mean, why should we, if we know we wanna make a change, why should we sandbag and wait?
Well,
Can I ask one more question?
I
about
question whether that's feasible, but.
It says creation of a new foundation.
Exactly.
Didn't you say that that picture was that foundation was already there?
Yeah.
So
No, there
that
was
really
a
is,
foundation.
I'm sorry?
There was a foundation there. They dug that up and now they're putting a new one.
oh, so that's what you're calling a new one?
Yeah.
To me, there was one already there, so I was wondering why you,
Which is,
So it may
Is
need
allowed.
to say new or replacement or something.
Jordan, were
Okay.
you suggesting that it, to Hans's point, that like we get like a deed up, like, you know, get it certified, have someone come look at it? Because obviously every piece of land is differently, shaped differently, you know, I would imagine some. Like what Hans is saying, he said there's another piece of property we go look at where it would be detrimental to the lake.
Right.
A new found, but there may be other pieces of property where it wouldn't, you know, I mean, depending on the layout. Are you suggesting that maybe we write something in there that it has to be certified and have, you know, DEP come look at it?
No,
Oh, I thought you said
no,
one
we don't
on
want
that.
to hang, yeah, we don't want to tie ourselves to
Yeah.
DEP, but they're just too strapped for resources. No, not at all. I just want to make sure we think this through and not act in haste. As well as get the input of Craig and Rich Baker
No, I
and
definitely.
and Pete Sargent. Because you know, as with all our decisions, it has to be unanimous, so there has to be a consensus, so. Otherwise it will pass, you know, the select board will just kick it back to us. At least that's what they've done in the past. And my concern, Hans, about November is simply the clock, the time. I mean, for us to, if you work backwards from town meeting and, from not town meeting, but from the November election. We would have to have a draft that had undergone legal review and to the select board by early August.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen. That just ain't gonna happen. We got too much, you know, I mean, we got permits and, you know, we're, you know, we're through the end of June.
well, does this not constitute a draft?
Well,
And
we've already identified, Penny's already identified one wording issue that we need to wrestle with. So no, it doesn't. It isn't the final draft. It's a first draft.
it's a draft, legal review, Bill will look at it, turn around in 5 days. It's possible,
I'm not gonna be a party to rushing something like this through.
it's not a rush. Not if we've got time, we're just going through the process, we can start the process.
Okay, let's do this, let's have this in the next, agenda. In the next agenda, for the next agenda, so we can have hopefully, the other three members that are missing their view into this, and, I'm gonna put together a calendar for that, and it's gonna be very tight. Now that, when we did the solar ordinance, and that was a huge package, it was not only
Well,
one.
It's
One
a
line.
different scale, the whole ordinance versus one sentence.
Yeah, but the thing is that, all these things have a time session into it. The hearings have to be done a certain way, and then this have to go to a lawyer to get approved. So all these steps add up to almost 12 weeks from the moment the board finishes. And George is right, when we did the solar ordinance, we had to had this in to the select board by mid of August. And not before then. I'll look into all that. So the next 2 weeks will give me, 3 weeks actually, will give me time to dig all that information and get that for the next meeting. And we'll have a better view on it.
But when, I would very much like, if we're gonna, with this and, you know, if there's some other small changes that you suggest, Hans. Also take up, coming up with, draft language to amend the DEP certified, excavation. That we discussed in the past.
Yeah, that's what you had said earlier. That's what I thought you were trying to bundle in with.
Oh, no, I'm not trying, two separate.
Yeah, okay,
amendments.
just do it
I'm
all.
sorry, I'm sorry,
George,
I thought you were
you're
trying to say mix them.
referencing the 1 yard rule.
yeah, I mean, the 1 yard you can't change because it's state law, but maybe we can,
No, it's state law for paid contractors.
yeah, that's what I was talking about, and maybe we can play with that to see, because there's some things that,
Yeah, where it's written in our ordinance is inappropriate, because
Right.
it applies to every individual,
yeah,
not
so we'll
just
have,
paid contractors.
yeah, right.
So we can just repeal that, seeing it's already chapter 1000.
Well, I wouldn't repeal it, I would amend it, but, because, people need to see it, but they're not gonna go to chapter 1000 to find that.
Well, if you wanna email me some language, I'll make a draft like this and then present.
Well, I think as a group, we should do that,
Well, that's just sandbagging the whole thing, then, one thing.
that's not fair.
Alright. So let's do that. We wanna revisit the next meeting. I'll be.
Getting all 5 of us here. It's gonna be-
That's
Oh,
gonna be,
That'll
that's,
be when if you look at that track.
I will send an email about that and
Yeah.
follow with phone calls
Yeah.
and that, so see if I can get a commitment from everybody to come back. We're giving you off 4th of July, come on. So,
I've got more if you want. to talk about more.
you got other amendments, okay?
Yeah, well, there's actually, let me show you, I've got this right. There is a big hole in our ordinance, the shoreline zone, and I've been, the emails correspondence with Colin and Cameron reference the hole in our ordinance, and if you give your attention to the big screen here, this new software we've got, this is all, you can all get to this on our website, okay? You got this, where my mouse is the National Wetland Inventory Overlay. Okay, so it highlights what's considered wooded wetland is the darker green. Up here, this lighter green is emerging wetlands, which is the more highly sensitive. But what we've got here in town is if you zoom in and this overlay takes effect,
Is that Belgrade Lakes, Hans?
yes, it is, it's a great pond.
Yeah.
You see where we've got houses.
Yeah.
Barns, driveways, all sorts of structure within the wooded wetland area. So my question started as, this person wants to expand within this wooded wetland, what are the rules?
Hmm.
And the response from Cameron was, well, if it doesn't exceed the 4,300 square feet, no permit is required. And I don't know where these rules are written. And in the emails you see, I've asked you a few times, where are the rules? And I haven't got an answer to that yet, but
So do you start with that?
at the end, Colin says. You know, what your local ordinance may address. So. My concern is if these are wooded wetlands and there is a caveat where you can clear a certain amount of them. Where's your septic gonna go? You're gonna build it up with sand so it could drain down into wet soil? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying,
And we have a lot of situations, and then at one point Colin says, is it attached to a great pond, shoreline zone? This area here, yes, it is, it's attached to a great pond, so we can apply some shoreline zone ordinances to it, but you still see houses are built. When we go back, all right, look how big this wetland is. Actually, we know this guy who lives here. He's within, if we're applying the shoreline zone rules to wooded wetlands, he's within the this wetland area,
So,
all this area, like where does the setback start and stop?
so what you're looking into is the question of whether we should expand shoreline zoning to include wooded wetlands?
Or have some sort of rules? If somebody can go in here, cause this lot 21 recently sold, and 24C is a combination. They wanna go in there and build a house and stuff, well, where's the septic gonna end up? It's gonna run downstream right into the lake, right?
They cannot build there.
What determines a wetland? Like how deep?
And shoreline zone says in chapter 1006 says freshwater wetlands.
Right.
It doesn't really give a definition, and then now we've got wooded wetlands and we have emergent wetlands.
Hmm,
The difference is emergent wetlands don't have trees,
right,
it's just like marsh,
right,
you know, like around track farm.
yeah, well,
And situations where an existing building or business wants to expand isn't allowed,
Hmm.
because it's expansion within
Hmm.
the wetland area. Or if someone wants to come in here and build a house. Harvest all these trees out.
So Inland Fish and Wildlife doesn't consider wooded wetlands particularly important to wildlife. So and that's the basis under which wetlands that are connected to a great pond get designated as resource protection. We went through this back in 2018 when we amended the ordinance, because we were looking at some wetlands that Inland Fish and Wildlife was advising us to include in resource protection that weren't, and take some others out that they didn't consider particularly valuable. And it never happened for a variety of reasons, but the mostly having to do with problems getting the mapping done right. But basically we dropped the ball is what it came down to. But wooded wetlands, my understanding is, like, for example, DEP and minimum shoreline zoning ordinance, the state one, chapter 1000, does not include wooded wetlands. So we would be going beyond what the state requires. Pretty sure there's a definition in
A
State,
wooded wetland, like over on Horse Point, beyond Cooks Beach.
this is Horse Point right here.
Oh, I thought it was up in Belgrade Lakes Village.
Well, you gotta go there to get on Horse Point Road.
What's that?
You gotta go there to get on Horse Point Road, see Horse Point, the village is. right over
No, it's
there.
all the way, you got to go all around the lake.
Yeah,
But there's a lot there, around Ellis Pond, Messalonsky.
Right,
you know,
right.
around Hammond.
Okay,
There's a lot of this in our area.
so you're on Horse Point Road and are you right at that corner before it goes up the hill?
Yes.
So you're by Cooks Beach?
Yeah.
Okay, and my father used to hunt all that swampland and that's all wooded. But the deer love it, that's deer habitat,
Mhm.
so I don't know why IF&W would.
Well, they were looking at mostly from the perspective of wading birds and waterfowl
Hmm.
rather
Yeah,
than
not
deer.
deer,
Not deer,
okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh,
you know, unless it was a deer wintering area, for example.
yeah, I think,
So emergent wetlands, you're not allowed to touch. Wooded wetlands, they got a lot of loose rules around it.
okay,
And as you can see, all this, you know, half a mile away, it's all gonna drain down this creek. So
Yeah.
it's a whole, there's no regulation in our ordinance.
Hmm.
So if somebody wanted to put a house in here, I can't give them a reason why they can't.
Right. I mean, I think that's the reason why it's, one of the reasons anyway, that it's not part of the state's shoreline zoning. Chapter 1000, I think, because there's a lot, large areas of these wooded wetlands, not just in Belgrade, but
Right.
across the state. And so, I think they tried to keep the scope a little narrower. Rich Baker actually knows quite a bit about this subject matter, because he's had to deal with it a lot when he was the state shoreline zoning coordinator as well as.
Vernal
Some of
Pools,
those early decisions,
Vernal Pools came up too in the legislature, not that long ago, and
yeah,
you couldn't build within, what? 200 feet or even more.
But again, where's the rules?
Yeah, they were working
I
at it.
don't know where the rules are. There's no ordinance, I mean, there's no state rule, if I can't reference it,
yeah.
I can't stop.
Do you recall how the Natural Resources Protection Act approaches wooded wetlands?
That's Cameron works for them, he's on the email, he chimed in a little bit, but he's overworked, he's covering the 300 and some towns right now. So he responds when he can, usually around 10 o'clock at night, I'll get an email.
Well, land bureaus like that, they're so understaffed, unbelievable. Well, I think we need to add that to the list to discuss as a group.
Yeah, this is a longer term thing,
Yeah,
I mean, because it's more complex.
yeah, it is.
It's
There's a lot more to be discovered about it.
Okay, so
I agree.
But I think we need to put it in our heads and. You know,
And one of the questions I have is shoreland zoning the right? Let's say we conclude that wooded wetlands should be protected more so than they are now. And that's assuming the state doesn't regulate it. Is shoreland zoning the right tool for that? Or is there some other tool like townwide zoning that it's more appropriate to deal with it rather than shoreline zoning? And it may be that the answer is, I don't know what the answer would be, but there's a lot, as you said, Hans, there's quite a bit to this subject, so this would take more time.
So we are agreeing that we have 3 items here that we're gonna move to, we're gonna carry it over to the next agenda, the elections, the approval of the minutes, and the CEO of Unified Foundation setback, Benefit Foundation setback, and the wetlands. So those 3 are gonna show up on the next agenda.
And voting.
And both, yeah. So it's
and
like,
Richard wanted this gravel pit renewal application discussion, and I'll put this here for him at his request.
okay,
So we'll carry that through too.
okay, so those last 4 items are gonna come back next agenda.
It was, Craig that said, why are we doing that to gravel pit people going through this application thing?
Well, Richard wanted a different application, I think.
Yeah, but, they came from gravel pit application and for permit, and the discussion came up from Craig, why are we making them go through all of this? It's like a discrimination, because nobody else has to do that. Remember? So we need to discuss that
Right,
question too.
that's the last item there, I guess.
Okay. So that takes us to adjourn.
What is this?
That's the lights that go on the building in him.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was part of their application.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
So I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second,
All right, so, Mrs. Morale. Well, you vote on adjourning. Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Mr. Carl.
Yes.
Mr. Seal.
yes.
And Mr. Rangel say yes, so we adjourn.
Rich said last time. I think this is the shortest meeting we've ever.
I was told it was the shortest because we didn't have the people that talk a lot in the meeting.
Yeah. looks like it was raining while we were in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Grass.
Mine, it's burning up.
Yeah, no. You guys have a good night.
Oh, you too. Thank you, Nick.
Well, that's perfect. Put it in the towel and.
But we keep it around more than I got it, and now it's burning up. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Wonderful tonight.
Oh, I got it in the other room.
That's really nice to be able to show us like that. It's
Oh,
visually.
watch this.
There we go. And